What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we are working on a super special car. Sitting right behind me is a BMW M3 wagon conversion. Now, the crazy thing is BMW never made a wagon M3. I know they made the newer ones in M3s, but they never made the older generation, which I gotta say, this right here is probably one of my favorite M3 generations. I think it goes from 2016 or 2015 all the way up to 2018. And then they swapped to the new cars, which those cars are nice, but this right here is just a classic. So my friend Noor over here bought a base model 328i, and he basically converted everything off of a F80 M3, swapped everything on, all the suspension, everything, all the wiring, and turn this thing into an M3. And the only thing that's left on this car is to do the quarter panels. As you can see, these quarter panels are not as wide as an M3, and today we're actually gonna be working on getting that swapped over. He has a parts car sitting right over here. Check out those wide quarter panels on the donor car, and basically what we have to do is cut these quarter panels off of this car and swap them under there. It does kind of seem pretty simple, but there's a couple of different things I'm noticing on the wagon. The taillights are a little bit different, so this entire area is a little bit different. I at first thought the taillights are the same, but they are a little bit longer on the wagon, so I'm not too sure exactly how we're gonna do it. Basically chop this quarter panel off, weld it onto there, make sure the wheel arch is all perfect, make sure everything lines up nicely, and then we'll also have to cut the bumpers. So it's gonna be a pretty cool little conversion. I've never done anything like this. Usually I work on smashed cars, so we're just pulling everything out, struggling to make everything fit, but this one right here is gonna be super awesome, so let's get started. So I just spent some time thinking on exactly how we're going to do this quarter panel, and I come to the conclusion the first thing we're going to do is basically just remove this quarter panel off the car. Basically, we're going to grab the Sawzall, we're going to cut this quarter panel like this because we don't really need this top section. All we need is this section right here. We're going to slice it just like that right there, and we're also going to go all the way down here, cut that right there, and basically just pop off all those spot welds. And it's pretty funny, like these things on this car right here go this way, and then on the wagon they go the other way, so we'll definitely have to swap that out. But anyways, let's get straight to work. Let's go ahead and remove this entire quarter panel. Check it out, we got the first quarter panel all nice and cut off. As you can see, we kind of just cut through everything because most of that stuff we do not need. On this quarter panel, we will have to be a lot more careful on what we're cutting because we need to see exactly what we're going to save off this quarter panel. I mean, the only differences I see is the wheel well is just a little bit wider inside, so we'll definitely have to just do a little bit of trimming and lining up. But now that we have the driver's side one off, let's go ahead and get started on the passenger side quarter panel. This one should be a lot easier now that I know exactly how to get it off. So let's go ahead and cut off the passenger. check it out, we got the BMW all cut apart, and check it out, we have the passenger side quarter panel right here with the gas cap, and then we have the driver one over here. Now the next step is we need to go ahead and start tearing into the car. We already took off the door and the wheel. Now it's time to go ahead and remove some more of this plastic trim right here, get the tail light off, and then we need to start thinking on exactly how we're going to get this quarter panel right here installed on this car. So let's go ahead and finish stripping down this car. So check it out, we got the car all nice and taped up just to protect it from all the sparks and all the grinding that we're going to be doing. But before we dig into this quarter panel right here, what I want to do right now is I want to go ahead and clean up this quarter panel just a little bit. We can go ahead and take off these little extra pieces right here. I just couldn't get to them before. That's why we kind of just cut everything. So now what we're going to do is we're basically going to clean this off, take that off right there, and kind of start figuring out exactly how we're going to put this quarter panel on here. Because honestly, most of this stuff is kind of the same. Like on the other car, this piece is the same. The only thing that's different is this right here in the quarter panel and this little wheelhouse panel. So we have to figure out what is the best way to get this on there, because you can always cut more. You can't really add on. So you got to measure 15 times and cut once. So let's go ahead and get this quarter all prepped up. So we got the donor quarter panel all nice and cleaned up. We also cut it down just a little bit, and I also went ahead and cut off the taillight pocket. And now it's time to go ahead and remove this quarter panel right here, and then we can kind of start test fitting this quarter panel on. Then we can get a general idea of where we need to trim and where we need to make our final cuts. So let's go ahead and remove this quarter panel. And check it out, we got the quarter panel on the car. We got everything lining up pretty good. All these spot welds line up. Everything here looks really good. Check that out. We haven't made the final cut just yet. We do want to test fit the bumper before we do all that. But in order to test fit the bumper, we also need to go ahead and get the other side quarter panel on. And man, I gotta say, it's coming together nicely. It's a pretty cool, unique job because you're kind of using the original panels, but you also have to do a lot of cutting and a lot of welding. It's gonna be a pretty big weld going on here. Pretty big weld going on there. I was planning on maybe doing this a little bit closer here, but honestly I don't want it to warp this taillight pocket and make the taillight not fit. If anything, there would just be a little bit more filler right there. But anyways, let's go ahead and work on the passenger side. Go ahead and get this entire quarter panel off and get the new one installed. So check it out, we pretty much have both quarter panels lined up. We got the driver's side done. We also went ahead and knocked out the passenger side. Everything lines up really good. Check that out. We're basically almost ready to do the final cuts on the quarter panel. But before we do any of that, we need to go ahead and start test fitting our bumpers. And basically we're gonna have to cut this bumper in half and kind of splice it into the factory bumper, because this entire area on a sedan is a lot different from a wagon. So let's go ahead and do some measuring, do a little bit of test fitting, and then we can kind of start cutting and splicing these bumpers together. And once we do that, we can go ahead and start doing all of the final cuts on the quarter panel and get everything ready to be welded. And check it out, we did a little bit of cutting on the bumpers, but I think we're going to take a little bit of a pause on that. We cut the original bumper, and then we also cut the original M3 bumper, but we're going to take a little break on that because we need to go ahead and probably line up this quarter panel, get it right in the right spot. I mean, I know everything lines up good. I mean, check that gap out right there. The quarter panel looks like it's in the right position. So what we're going to do right now is go ahead and pop this quarter panel off, and we need to do all the final trimmings. We need to remove a little bit of seam sealer and basically get this thing 100% ready to weld. So let's go ahead and get started. So check it out, I got the quarter panel lined up, and man, do I gotta say, that right there lined up absolutely perfect. It's perfectly flat. That gap is pretty much non-existent in some points. Obviously there's a slight gap, but honestly that's pretty good for welding. Now we're gonna go ahead and get this thing all welded up. We're basically just gonna have to do a lot of slow tack welds because we don't want to warp any of this right here, and hopefully everything works out perfectly. So let's grab the welder and get to welding. So there it is, guys. We finally got all the welding done. We lined everything up, tacked everything in place, and I gotta say, it turned out really good. I also went ahead and welded everything inside there, basically just as factory would. So it's all welded, it's all seam sealed. This thing is ready to go to a body shop. Unfortunately, I don't have time to do any more grinding or working on it. I mean, the plan was kind of at the beginning was to do all the body work and all that stuff. But honestly, this right here just takes so long to do, get everything lined up properly, because I mean, you're combining